Hey everybody, hope how y'all doing? It's your buddy Orange Hat here to bring you the weekly recap. And let me just there we go. So sorry. I was there we go. So instead of movies, I am going to be covering news and audio media or news media from the week that I believe should be covered and that people should be informed about. And let's lower this just a little bit. I also think that going to give my thoughts and whatnot. And if people want to join for the panel, they can if they want to give their thoughts. Or if they want to stay in the chat, they can stay in the chat. If they want to join the panel, they can join the panel. But you must let me know before the stream starts. So before I get started, let's say hello to the chat. Vanya, good to see you. Geek Detective Pierce, good to see you. And G Fan, good to see you. So we do have a ton of things to get into. So without further ado, well, actually, before we do get into that, if you want to support my channel, like the channel, subscribe, share out the stuff or share out my content, share out the streams, and watch the playlist. I'm still trying to get to 4,000 hours. I need 800 more to go. I'm into 3,200s. So those of you who are watching my content, thank you so much. It is helping. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, folks. It is really helping. By the time I get to 400, I will hopefully have the weird stuff down that I need to get down. Otherwise, I will monetize when I am able. But I do appreciate the watch time getting up there, so I am able to monetize when I finally get it fully done. So the first up for the banners and whatnot, the first story is that was not, or it's supposed to be a scroll, so there we go. And yeah, this is the first episode, so I can't exactly expect it to be perfect. So sorry for not being perfect, folks. But yes, the first one is going to be Emerald Fennel wanting to make an erotic Jurassic Park movie. So yeah, let me share the screen because I will be sharing the article. Don't need audio. And let's see here. Let me pull up or use my phone to actually get in the chat here. That way I can control the chat while reading. Yep. So let's see here. Dang it, wrong one. Okay, so hello to Mammoth. Good to see you. Fire King, thank you for joining. And Tree Rock Creations, thank you for coming in. So let's see here. Yeah. Wasn't it up to 3,600? No, actually, it only got up to 3,300, and then it started to drop down to 3,200 again, Vanya. And White Bear, too, thank you for joining in. Parrothead, thank you for joining in. And Eagle Rider, thank you for joining in. Botrix has currently joined the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, no, wait. I'm on the wrong freaking thing. Whoops. Thought that was my thing that I was in right now. That was weird. Oy vey. There we go. I guess they were not joined in. So anybody who I said hello to recently, sorry about that. Oh my God. Let's edit this to the live chat. All messages. And Janet from another planet. Thank you for coming in. Hope you had a great night. Thank you so much. All righty. Now let's get into this. I just got to remember which one there we go. So, yeah, Saltburn director Emerald Fennel wants to turn Jurassic Park into an erotic fiction. Now, I did a video on this, but I will go over it. Better not try it with Godzilla franchise. Yeah, I know, right? Jurassic Park is the first thing or isn't the first thing you would think of when it comes to X-rated or NC-17 grade movies. But one filmmaker sees potential in such a turn for a franchise that, to be fair, needs a shot of adrenaline. Jurassic World Dominion and its predecessor Fallen Kingdom left a lot to be desired, and if the series is to continue, new directions should be considered. They concluded it, folks. They concluded the Jurassic franchise as far as I am concerned. They really have no real need to continue with that franchise because they had a concluding chapter. The older generation came in for one last hoorah. The newer generation had their nice moment with them. Jurassic Park franchise is done. It really shouldn't do it. But continuing on, the question is, would a more erotic take be the way to go? Emerald Fennel, director of the gay porn movie drama Saltburn, thinks so, and she is eager to get it on with the dinosaurs. Or to get it on the dinosaurs. But my favorite film of all time is Jurassic Park. So I would love to get in on the dinosaurs. Fennel said, well, first and foremost, it's very erotic. Folks, how is Jurassic Park erotic? One must ask that question. How is this movie or is that movie erotic? I think dinosaurs and humans have gotten to that stage in their time together where things are starting to get quite thrilling. So there's a marriage between but Fennel is serious. There is a list of problems with her pitch. Number one, implies bestiality or sex with animals. So the story would immediately garner controversy, not to mention that stuff is illegal. And the other issue is the logic. The raptors in the Jurassic series are unpredictable carnivores, which means one would wind up eating the human living with it. In the end, the story would never happen unless they introduce a conceptualized human-dino hybrid that became the stuff of legend in the wake of Jurassic World. Even then, the hybrids require sentience along with the complexities of identity and self-awareness to equate to being human. Moreover, would anyone want to watch a film that explores all this? And, I mean, seriously, folks, that is quite disgusting what they are talking about. So, when it comes to man and animal, that is, well, first and foremost, it is a sin. Secondly, that stuff is so disgusting that it should never even be allowed to be considered. I said during the Cuties controversy back in the 2019, leading into 2020, that if Cuties ever got normalized, it would lead to more debauchery down the road, more depravity down the road. And it has gone there. Hollywood has gone there, where they think that twerking 11-year-olds is considered a stunning and brave thing. Well, why not go even further? Why not have movies where kids are literally having sex? Why not even go further than that? Get into movies where people are now starting to want to fuck dinosaurs. It's not that far-fetched to really, or if you really think about it, folks, because that is the perverted minds of these directors. And that is the perverted reality that these people want to live in. They want to be able to engage in this stuff because that is their fantasies in real life. The Emerald Fennel, or Emerald, whatever her name is, she also wished death upon anyone who didn't like her movie. Oh, you didn't like it? Good. I hope you have a very violent death, you and your family. She's insane, folks. So it's not too much of a stretch that she would actually be wanting to, that she would want to be engaging in sexual relationships with dinosaurs. And honestly, I think that this woman does belong in a bug house. What possesses a person to think that getting it on with a dinosaur is at all something right? They've already done that, Orange. Remember Brooke Shields and what they put her through at a young age. Yes, they did that back then, but it was, or back then, G-Fan, back then, it was seen as a controversial thing. They decried it. They even decried the movie Kids when it came out because that movie was sick and twisted. Cuties was hailed as stunning and brave, except by the people who have morality and who thought that a girl taking a picture of her intimate spots to get somebody in trouble was a good thing to do. They thought that 11-year-olds dressing in sexually provocative ways and twerking on a stage was a good idea to do, despite the message of this is wrong to do to kids, which is what the director was saying. You do not fight against the sexualization of children by showing the sexualization of children. That is why people agreed with The Sound of Freedom. They didn't outright show that. They very much heavily hinted toward it. They didn't show it. You don't fight something by doing the same thing that you are fighting against. And so when people are saying that, oh, they want to make a movie about bestiality, it is absolutely disgusting to even think about that. To think about how, or one, how would you even display it on the screen? You would have to be a pervert, a very sick and deranged pervert, to even consider putting that on a screen. And that is what Emerald Fennel is. She is a pervert. Her movie had a scene description by an actor where he was licking up another guy's juices from a toilet drain or from a bathtub drain. Yeah. And then I said earlier, she wants to, or she wishes death on anybody who is saying that they don't like her movie. And now she wants to make a movie inside the Jurassic Park franchise where people are having sex with dinosaurs. It takes a very special and twisted mind to come up with that sort of sickness, if you ask me. It really does. Moving on, though, to the second story here, which is good news for people in, let's see here. I can now close that one. Good news in Hollywood. The hate crime hoaxer, the hate crime committer, and hate crime hoaxer, gay Tupac, otherwise known as Jussie Smollett, loses his conviction appeal and faces possible return to prison. So, to catch you all up, I'm going to go through this. Let me add this in. To catch you all up, Jussie Smollett faked a hate crime in 2019. He even got support by, hey, Darth Zathra, good to see you. He even got support by President Trump at the time, where he decried anybody who would do such a thing to anyone. And then, well, the story of Jussie Smollett came out. He said that these white people rolled up on him, and they were wearing red MAGA hats, and they were saying, "This is MAGA country." And they lynched him up with a rope, poured bleach on him, and beat him down. Now, if that ever really happened, I would definitely decry it. I would definitely say that the people who actually did something like that should be arrested and imprisoned for a hate crime. Except it didn't happen. Because if you think about it, red MAGA hats and saying this is MAGA country in the middle of Chicago is absolutely ridiculous. It had a 99% freaking Democratic vote. You're telling me that two people are going to roll up saying this is MAGA country in the middle of Chicago? By the way, the weather that night, negative 60-degree wind chill. Yeah. So when the police visit him, he tells them to turn off their body cams. Yeah. And then the DA, let's go to the tab on Bounding into Comics. I believe her name was Kim Fox or something. Yeah. Let's see here. And also let's pull up the chat. Oops. God dang it. Can't pull up the chat again. Where is the chat? There it is. So yeah, Jussie Smollett found guilty of staging a hate crime against himself. So yeah, let's see here. There was one judge that actually sided with him in this appeal, by the way. And I'll get to that in a moment. But I believe the prosecutor's name was Kim Fox. And she was wanted the charges to be dropped against him for faking the hate crime. The police were not having that. And they wanted to sue him for the money that they spent investigating his case. We then learned that the Osendaro brothers were the ones that were hired by Jussie Smollett, paid like $3,600, given $100 to buy the stuff they needed to get the job done, the bleach, the rope, and 2 red hats because they couldn't find any place to get MAGA hats. And I mean, really. So, yeah, also the Osadaro brothers ended up turning on him. But yeah, Kim Fox or Patricia Fox or whatever her name was, she she thought, well, we should just drop it because, or without being disbarred for violating conflict of interest, when there is a conflict of interest, you have to remove yourself from the case. She didn't do that. She knew Jussie Smollett, and yet she still told them, drop the case. We're not taking this to court. Well, they ended up taking it to court. He was found guilty, and they're going, well, I'm not suicidal. I am not suicidal. If I was guilty, I would have said that. It's like, you are guilty. You're a psychopath. And then when he got put in jail, he started crying like a little bitch because, oh, it's so sexist and racist in jail. Folks, as a person who has been in jail, as a person who has seen the inside of a jail cell, who spent 9 months in there, who was actually innocent of the crime that was levied against him, myself, that is. Yeah, it is pretty racist, but not towards black people. In fact, it's actually more racist towards white people because you can actually catch a beat down just for being white in jail. Yep, I did. I was literally called cracker and white trash, and they started beating on me. I didn't react to the beating at the time because I did not want them to gain any sort of satisfaction. But after I returned to my cell, I slept for probably a good 12 hours. My back was extremely sore for a week and a half. And I managed to protect my face very well because I absolutely covered it. But yeah, damage was done. And it was simply because of a different skin color that I received my beating. It wasn't because of the charges, although that would have caught me a beating too, even though they were false. But yeah, it's not racist towards black people in prison. I mean, sure, you might have jail area or jails and prisons that have neo-Nazis and other groups in them that are very white supremacist groups. I mean, I'm not going to deny that those groups exist in prisons. But he wasn't even in there for a week until court of public opinion swayed the courts to release him. And then it took over a year and a half for the appellate court to deny his release and uphold his conviction. He only served a week, and he's going to only be doing 7 months or 7.5 months in jail, or 150 days. Sorry, 150 days. That's 3 months, or no, 5. What was his sentence? Or if I remember correctly, I might be remembering the wrong thing. But yeah, 150 days. That is 30, 60, 90, 120. Yep, 5 months. 5 months essentially in jail with 30-day probation period, $25,000 fine, and a $120,000 fine to pay to the city of Chicago for investigating the false claims. Well, now he might be going back to jail because 2 out of 3 judges said, yeah, he needs to go back to jail. But one of them tried playing he shouldn't because it's double jeopardy. Except that double jeopardy doesn't work because the first case against him was dismissed. Yeah. So the second scene, and it wasn't dismissed with prejudice. If it was dismissed with prejudice, they couldn't go back after him. But they went after him because of other things too. And so, yeah, Jussie Smollett will be hopefully be going back to prison. I mean, yeah, he also did the Jussie Smollett speaks out on ABC News exclusive, and how he said that these people were calling him the N-word. This is MAGA country, empire, and all that stuff. Never happened. And not only did Jussie Smollett fake a hate crime, he committed a hate crime by causing such racial division in this country because of his false claims that it caused a huge rift in the racial divide of this country. People were starting to call in their own hate crimes against other people. There was a Muslim in the state of New York, a Muslim woman, who said that she was attacked brutally, and it turned out to be false. There was another Muslim woman in Texas who called in a hate crime saying that white people were beating on her and whatnot. That also turned out to be false. And there have been other minor hate crime claims throughout 2020 to 2023 where they have all turned out to be false. However, there are hate crimes that have been committed, like the trans shooter that was in Tennessee, how their manifesto was released. And, well, yeah, it was talking about wanting to kill Christian kids who were white. Yep. How's that not a hate crime? But, yep, you got that one there. And, honestly, 150 days, that's 5 months. And then 30 days probation. I think it is unfair. This man committed a hate crime. Thus, he should do time that is the sentence of a hate crime commitment or conviction. What do you all think of this? I remember, yeah. I mean, I remember this story when it happened too. I was going to report on it, but then I decided to wait a little bit. I remembered something that Steven Crowder actually said. Wait a little bit before you jump into a story. See what news unfolds. And then I did start reporting on it. So moving on to the next story, Bob Iger. Bob Iger. So, yeah, he admits his company recently featured an overload of woke content, and creators lost sight of what their number one objective needed to be. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Bob Iger took over Disney. And he was the one that brought in all of this content of identity politics, representation, and inclusivity and equity and all that stuff, diversity. He's the one that supported all of this. He's the one that supported going after Florida and defaming them about a parental rights bill that was being brought in to allow parents to have a say at what their kids learn. And then he stepped down, allowing Bob Chapek to come in. Well, Bob Chapek only continued to expand on what Bob Iger created. And Bob Chapek went extreme with it. Well, then he had to step down and let Bob Iger take over again. And Bob Iger started throwing people under the bus, blamed COVID and COVID restrictions on the failures of the Marvels, which now is officially the absolute worst MCU film. So, yeah. He then starts saying, we are going to have a course correction. That's only because your board is getting let go and has this other guy coming in with multiple board positions to help your company in its dire need. Because if memory serves, they've lost over $1 billion in movie losses alone this year. I believe only one movie, has made money, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Flop Mermaid isn't going to make or lost money. Every other Marvel movie that they put out has lost money. And their shows lost money. Very low views. All of it was a loss of money and loss of revenue, to the point where they jacked up their prices exceptionally high in order to offset a little bit of the loss. But yeah, he's actually him admitting that there's been, or that they've been pushing agenda over story. He created that problem. He created it. And now he wants credit for saying, we were wrong to do this, we're going to course correct. You don't get credit for cleaning up your own mess. You don't get credit for creating the problem that you are currently correcting. It just doesn't work. It's sad when Godzilla Minus One, a Japanese movie with a $15 million budget, is getting more positive feedback and money per screen, is doing better than Disney. Yeah, I'm actually curious. What is Godzilla Minus One budget? I'm having a hard time believing it's 15 million. Okay, it is actually $15 million. You know what? That's a good segue, folks, because I am going to be covering more than just what I put in the description. I haven't seen Godzilla Minus One. Believe me, I want to. However, I am unable to right now. So, unfortunately, I will not be able to get a review out for it. Let me see here. But yeah, if $15 million is enough to do digital matte painting of 50s era Japan and have such high grade texture on a digital Godzilla, plus the explosions, and this is just going by what I saw in the trailers because I haven't seen the movie. $15 million. What is going on at Disney that they are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on movies and losing money on them, mind you, that they need to spend all that money for the digital backgrounds, digital paintings and sets and whatnot? And Godzilla Minus One, the Japanese had to create 50s era clothing. They had to create digital extensions or set extensions. They had to create Godzilla. And this Godzilla looks like it's an absolute real thing. It looks like it's actually there, a practical effect. And yet, $15 million. And yes, I know I didn't do the banners right. Whoops. Because, yeah, I also have the banners. Jussie Smollett loses appeal and Bob Iger admits wokeness in Disney. I find it shocking that $15 million can be put into a movie and have that much quality. And yet, over 10 times that much, over 15 times that much. And you are getting crap from Disney, Marvel, Sony. I mean, the last movie that I thought that had really good CGI in it was Top Gun Maverick. I thought some of the jets were very real. Or I know that there were some real practical shots and elements and such. But the inverted shots with Maverick and Rooster, digital. The shot where Maverick is underneath Rooster and inverts with him, that was digital. The dogfights were digital. And that movie didn't get a Chinese release and still made $1 billion at the box office. That was money well earned and well spent. However, I'm still wondering how a $15 million movie, Godzilla Minus One, which I haven't seen sadly, is able to have such high-grade CGI that is better than any other digital house in the world. The digital houses at Marvel and Disney suck. What a Workshop did good digital work back during Lord of the Rings days. But then they kind of fell a little bit in the Hobbit days. And now a tiny effects house in Japan made every single movie that came before it look like a joke. What was Toho thinking, saying we're only going to do a limited release? What were they thinking? If they would have released it in my hometown, which I live 7 miles away from, I would have walked to see the movie. I would have walked to the theater and walked home. Would have taken me a couple hours to get there and a couple hours to get back afterward, but I would have been able to see it. Unfortunately, I can't see it at a theater because the closest one that's playing it is over 100 miles away, and unfortunately, the costs outweigh the benefits. That is Toho's mistake there. If Toho was able to show this movie in as many theaters as possible, they would make all their money back in the first day. Oh, I'm pretty sure they probably did too. From what I'm hearing, Godzilla Minus One is one of the best movies out there. But for Disney and Bob Iger and their creative teams under Kathleen Kennedy and now Dave Filoni, by the way, shout out to all the grifters and clickbaiters out there who constantly were creating the Disney Civil War. Janet Check, Doomcock, WDW Pro, I think was one of them, and many others. You all are fucking pathetic now that Dave Filoni is working with Kathleen Kennedy as a chief creative officer. This is all under Disney's umbrella, folks. This is all under Disney's umbrella. And yet these people grifted people for years saying, oh, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired any day now. She's still working at Lucasfilm currently as of the recording of this video, this stream. And it's December of 2023. They were all saying she was going to be gone as of 2021. Then she was going to be gone at the end of 2022. It's almost 2024 and she's still here. She's still at Disney. So yeah, to anybody, any of those YouTubers like Doomcock, Janet Check, and all those other ones who love to push this false narrative, sit on a fucking cactus and twist. You scammed your followers out of money. You failed to inform them of anything objectively true. You're not informative. You're a grifter. And this is me not chasing clout, folks. I'm an unmonetized YouTuber with under 1,500 subscribers. I couldn't give a shit about getting on their channels to promote my stuff because I never would. Not when some of them are doxing people who don't agree with them. Not when these channels are basically shilling for Disney in a way by putting so much attention on them that is unwarranted. Call out the other stuff all you want, but make sure there's a little bit of truth to it. But getting back to it, yeah, Mike Zero as well is another grifter, a piece of shit grifter. But yeah, Doomcock, Janachek, Zero, WDW Pro, all those people who are saying that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be gone under Iger and under Chapek, you all were full of shit. You grifted your freaking audience. You got a bunch of super chats out of them, most likely. So yeah, you made your money off of gullible fools. And I will say that they are gullible fools. I stopped watching them last year and even years before because I realized how bullshit, or I started to smell the bullshit they were trying to sell. And they were trying to market it as flowers, essentially. And they continue, and that's when Disney continued to do all their horseshit with The Mandalorian and with the Kenobi series and with the Disney trilogy. Yep. All stuff that Iger also oversaw. And now he has the gall to say, we're going to course correct. When he was the one who wanted all of this to happen in the first place. Just saying, folks, Bob Iger is not right for Disney. Never will be right for Disney. You want to get rid of, or you want Disney to make money? Fire anybody who is trying to push any sort of LGBTQ representation in there or in the content. Fire anybody who's trying to push racial division in their content. Fire the board of directors at Disney for breach of fiduciary contract. Fire Bob Iger, fire Kathleen Kennedy, fire Dave Filoni, fire Jon Favreau, Deborah Chow, fire the entirety of Disney Lucasfilm. The people who would probably do a much better job at Lucasfilm would be people like Stig Kenobi, people like me, people like Demogeny, people who were passionate about Star Wars and the content that George Lucas oversaw and approved. Also, give the rights back to George Lucas. At least he knows what to do with them with any sort of true efficacy. But moving on to the next topic. Yeah. Marvel ruins Nightcrawler's origin. I didn't do a video on this yet. You'll hear my thoughts on this right here. Right now. So, yeah, also fire Kevin Feige. Very true, Sean. And thank you for coming in. And Leslie Tarkin, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. So, yeah. Teleporter this thing with right here is kind of making it hard to read things. Bounding, if you could fix that, please do. Marvel Comic retcons Nightcrawler's origin, reveals X-Men teleporter as biological son of lesbian mutants Mystique and Destiny. One Bamf forward, 7 dozen Bamfs back. Replacing one questionable editorial decision with another, Marvel Comics has finally retconned Nightcrawler's widely panned Mutants Are Demons backstory by revealing that rather than Mystique and Azazel, the furry blue teleporter is actually the biological son of the blue shapeshifter and her lesbian lover, Destiny. Folks, Marvel pulled a DC, and I'm going to get into that. Buckle up, readers, as it is time to take a ride through the tangled story of X-Men's resident swashbuckler, beginning with a stop in the franchise heyday of the 1980s. During his famous run on the team, writer Chris Claremont consistently teased a familial connection between the two respective mutants, primarily due to their shared blue skin and fully yellowed eyes. Notably, at no point during his run did Claremont ever directly address the topic of Nightcrawler's paternal heritage, father, according to artist John Byrne, who served as the illustrator of many of the writer's stories, it was at certain points, respectively, intended to be Nightmare, then Destiny. At one point, Chris wanted to reveal that Kurt's father was Nightmare, said Byrne while speaking to fans, and on his Byrne Robotics forum, Roger Stern, as editor, put the kibosh on that one. As explained by Stern in 2009 interview, the CBR's Timothy Callahan, I put a stop to the Nightmare connection before I became the X-Men's editor. It happened when I was the writer of Doctor Strange, back when the writers were still occasionally listened to. Chris had come up with the latest of several crazy ideas and declared that Nightcrawler's father was Nightmare. And I replied with something like, "No, he's not. I'm not going to let you appropriate one of my character's major villains." As I recall, Len Wein crossed the room and shook my hand. But eventually, said Byrne, Chris decided Kurt's mother was Destiny and his father was Mystique. Unfortunately for Claremont, thanks to Stern's editorial oversight, again speaking to Callahan, Stern noted that no plan ever existed to reveal Nightcrawler's parentage, as it simply wasn't that important to us. This concept was never canonized and instead left on the cutting room floor. Then, after nearly a decade of teases regarding the relationship, 1994's X-Men Unlimited Volume 1, Number 4, saw Scott Lobdell build upon the predecessor's connective tissues and finally confirm that Mystique was, in fact, the biological mother of one Kurt Wagner. Further, at this time, his father was established as one Baron Christian Wagner, a German nobleman whom Mystique had married in order to take personal advantage of the social influence and immense wealth, and for the next 10 years, thus would remain the Circus Elf's family tree. Then came Chuck Austen, one of the most notorious X-Men writers of all time and the very noted critic of religion in all forms. When Austen took over Marvel's Merry Band of Mutants, one of his main goals, ostensibly inspired by Nightcrawler's noted Catholicism, was to subvert the concept of angels and demons by revealing that rather than being of divine origin, these beings were nothing more than a species of proto-mutants. This, of course, included Satan, who, according to Austen's retconning, was not a fallen angel, but rather an ancient red-skinned proto-mutant teleporter known as Azazel. At one point in history, seeking to sire children with Earth women in order to allow him a stronger connection to the mortal plane from his home in the Brimstone dimension. Unsurprisingly, in a long story, Azazel's machinations eventually led him to make the acceptance of or to make the acquaintance of Baron Wagner and Mystique, who at the time of their meeting were reeling from their recent discovery that Baron could not sire any children. Taking advantage of the desperation for his own ends, Azazel seduces Mystique, their affair ultimately resulting in the birth of a dimensional tethering child who shared his parents' blue skin, pointy tail, and teleportation abilities. So, if any of that sounds completely bonkers to you, worry not, you're not alone. Between its obvious and surface level criticisms of religion and complete disregard for the actual characters of its main cast, Austin runs ultimately went down in history as one of the worst X-Men runs of all time. To this end, newer readers may even be completely unaware of Kurt's demon background, as Marvel has chosen to quietly avoid addressing the subject ever since Austin left the book. That was until 2023's X-Men Origins Blue, Volume 1, Number 1. Why does he look like Spider-Man? Released on November 29th, 2023, the one-shot spinoff from Kurt Wagner, or Kurt's current Uncanny Spider-Man solo series, reveals that rather than Azazel and Mystique, the fan-favorite mutant is actually the offspring of the Blue Villainess and her female lover, Destiny. As detailed by the writer Cy Spurrier, continuing her affair with Destiny throughout her marriage to Baron Wagner, Mystique is eventually met by the admission from the mutant precog that she would like to build a family, Raven. I find that I would love to build a family with you, yada, yada, yada. They get their little lesbian act. From there, she recalled by Mystique to her son. There were other pregnancies, other births before and after, accidents, inconveniences, tragedies upon arrival, but never a child conceived in love. So we made a baby, just her and me. Taking note of Nightcrawler's obvious bewilderment. Oh my God. Regarding the exact mechanics of this new origin, Mystique proceeds to explain that the pregnancy was made possible by her ability, as first introduced in this moment, to manipulate cells, hormones, and ribosomes. To this end, she then details that thanks to the command of genetics, which she never really had, she was able to craft Kurt's own traits at the time of his conception, noting that Christian, Azazel, and countless others, they were but the shades of my palettes. So here's a good question for you. How does if she's the shapeshifter, folks, how does she inseminate herself? I'm wondering this right now. I mean, I'm going to have to delve down this rabbit hole, unfortunately. In further detailing Mystique's new power upgrade, and in story letter penned by X-Men's resident mad genius Doctor's Nemesis, featured within this issue's elaborates, she is not simply adjusting musculature and skin, but rewriting the genomic instructions in every single cellular nucleus of her body, all at once, and all without conscious thought. This is such bullshit. To put it differently, Mystique is not a shapeshifter. She's a gene shaper. Her flesh is the most sophisticated biological apparatus I've ever encountered. This is absolutely bullshit. Meanwhile, Kurt and Mystique's story is currently set to continue swinging on in December 20th, Uncanny Volume 1, Number 5. So, yeah, she and her Irene Adler Destiny. Now, I'm sort of wondering here. Let's get down to this thing where this woman, from what I hear, her name was Irene Adler Destiny, or the character of Destiny's real name is Irene Adler, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. But yeah. because I saw the name Irene Adler somewhere. Could have sworn I did, but I guess not. But yeah, I saw the name Irene Adler somewhere in other things, and I couldn't help but notice that they were using a character from Sherlock Holmes to call this Destiny woman. And hello, Anime Night. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. But yeah, they're essentially saying that Mystique is essentially a full-blown goddess, not a shapeshifter, a gene shaper. She can manipulate herself at the genetic level. And yet, how did what was this other character, Destiny's whole process of inseminating Mystique? I'm having a hard time understanding this, but they are essentially saying that two women can bear a child together without any sort of other help. And when I say that DC did this, it was in the show, the Supergirl show, where the trans hero Dreamer has kids in the future, or has descendants in the future, in which, well, either Dreamer was a boy who became a woman, a man who has the delusion of being a woman, transition and all that, as a kid, mind you. And her sister didn't have any kids. So how does Dreamer exactly have how exactly does she carry on a bloodline herself? You see, they were trying to change the biological facts, folks, back then during those episodes, that trans women can still, or can have a uterus and whatnot. When they can't, they will have a male prostate, no matter what butchery they do to their lower selves. Lower selves means lower body selves, folks, not lower as in status or anything like that. But I'm still wondering, this makes no sense. Me, I always thought that Nightcrawler's father was Azazel. That's how I always remembered it. I'm not really a comic book person, so I wouldn't know. But yes, the mental gymnastics here are insane, as G-Fan says in the chat. Easy, shapeshifts into a man, jerks off into a turkey baster, and turns back into herself and inseminates. Well, just one problem with that. Where does Destiny fit in? Where does Destiny fit in with that, Sean? Because none of this is making sense. They're just simply trying to push an agenda that says that two women can have a child without a problem. It's bullshit. And it also denounces the Christian faith that Nightcrawler went in or adopted. Nightcrawler was always deeply religious. Something that I actually found was quite interesting when I saw the X-Men animated series. But honestly, I think that is truly a bunch of horseshit. And I think that the people at Marvel are morally and creatively bankrupt. That's why their comics are continuing to fail. That is why their movies are continuing to fail. And it's not because of sexism, racism, hatred, bigotry, or anything like that. It's because of a disconnect of reality. Marvel and its writers and its story groups are all morally, creatively bankrupt and delusional. And disconnected from reality in a way that they absolutely refuse to listen to the greater number of people who are usually the logical ones to provide money for groups to make a profit. Instead of pandering to instead of making a product for the greater number, the greater masses, they instead pander to this very small group instead of this much bigger group. And where this much bigger group then starts to feel excluded, they will move away. And therefore, you do not have the audience to continue to create and generate a profit, and therefore your business will suffer. This is basic business 101. You appeal to the bigger number in order to gain the most profit. Disney has admitted that their agenda is not to seek profit. I did a story on that earlier. But rather to keep pushing the messages of abusing children and pushing the nonsense in these children content. Really quick, can explain how theaters in the USA operate, just for viewers to understand what goes on behind the scenes. Well, yes, viewers to explain this. Theaters, O&B Reviews actually worked at a theater. He could better explain this, but when a movie comes out, say a Marvel movie comes out, and a theater wants to get the movie, well, they have to have a certain partnership with the studio house, and they have to oh, you worked at a theater? That's cool, G-Fan. I didn't know that. And they have to, your ticket prices, the reason why concessions are so high is to offset the ticket price problem, folks. Say a movie ticket costs $10, and a Marvel movie or a Disney movie comes down the pipe, and explain that in the chat so I can cover it, G-Fan. And the ticket is $10. The theater for that opening week and weekend will get 9 of those $10. I've actually seen at my hometown theater where they have to count out the money that they are going to be sending to the studio that owns the rights to the movie that they are showing. That is why they rely mostly on the concessions. And sometimes you have to make deals with certain houses to have the movie at opening time. Sometimes you can put it in later. And this, of course, may piss off some people. I mean, I really wanted to see John Wick Chapter 4 in the theaters. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And, that's when I started to decide I'm not going to theaters anymore. The theaters close to me are not playing movies that I want to see. I will not watch Marvel or DC movies in theaters, no matter if they play them or not. The general audiences will, of course, give their money to these movies, but they have been failing because, they are not working. But Godzilla getting a limited run, I do believe that was Toho's idea. Godzilla -1, that is. Because I want to, if Toho actually managed to say, we are going to do a wide release, anybody who wants this movie, let us know. We can make it, or we can work with you to try to get it. I wish my theater, the Adirondack State Theater, would have fought for Godzilla -1. Because I'm willing to bet that a lot of people would have gone there. Be the movie in Japanese audio with English subtitles or not, people would have gone to see Godzilla. I guarantee you. I definitely would have. I would have finally gotten out of my house and gone to see a Godzilla movie. And chances are, because I wanted Godzilla King of the Monsters to succeed. I watched that movie 8 times in theaters. I was going day after day after day after day to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters in theaters. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I made sure to save up that month so that I could do that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So G-Fan explains, okay, so movie theaters, both large corporate ones and smaller independent theaters, must sign contracts with film companies, Disney, Sony. Okay, yep. And yes, I'm aware of that. I wish that my theater had signed a contract with Toho, because Toho's been putting out some pretty good monster movies. Godzilla, or Shin Godzilla, before Godzilla -1 came out, was the best Godzilla movie in my opinion. They used digital effects that looked absolutely real. However, there were some scenes that were very much, you were able to realize they were not digital, or you were able to realize they were digital. But that shot with the tail sweeping over these small buildings, I thought that was a puppet tail. I thought that was an animatronic tail and then inserted. No, that was fully digital. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so who's the guy in the suit for this one? There is no guy in the suit. What? And I wish I could talk about Godzilla -1, folks. I really do. If I was able to, I would be discussing it tonight if I had been able to see it. Unfortunately, I haven't. Although I am going to check something right now. And let's see here. And still nothing from that site. But yeah. Okay, so continuing G-Fan. So the contracts are to include the stipulation that if, say, Disney has a Marvel movie coming out, it will be mandated that it has to show so many times a day. Yep. And 2 out of the 6 screens. Yep. And it also they also have contract stipulations that say if you have 3D ability, you have to put it in 3D as well. Me, I hate 3D. I have glasses. I have to put 3D glasses over my glasses, and these are tinted, as you can clearly see. These are not tinted because of transition lenses. These are tinted because they are permanently 15% tinted. So then I have to put on the tinted 3D glasses over my glasses and watch the movie tinted in 3D due to the stipulations of the contracts. So yes, I am aware of those contracts, or of that as well, G-Fan. Yes, unfortunately, Sean, 3D is still a thing. But I still cannot believe that $15 million put out that quality of a movie. What I saw in the teaser and the trailers and the clip, what I saw was the greatest thing I had ever seen on screen. And that's saying something when it comes to digital effects. My favorite movie is still Finding Forrester. My favorite Godzilla movie is most likely going to be Godzilla -1. When I see it finally. If I am able to see it, somehow, if a miracle happens and I am able to see it, I will do a review on it. If it's still within the relevant time frame. Meaning, if it's like 3 weeks down or 3 or 4 weeks down the line, if it's in January, I ain't going to get much of a reaction for a review for Godzilla -1. my reviews, the reason why I changed my channel from Orange Hat Reviews to Orange Hat was because whenever I did a review, barely anyone watched. And so I tried retooling, and it didn't work out then either. So yeah, I did a review by request from my buddy Stieg, and barely any review or barely any views. As much as I love doing reviews, believe me, I do. They're not coming out with much views. So now the theater is obligated to do that. Speaking as to the 6 screens. So now the theater is obligated to do that, or they will not be able to show these movies. This puts a lot of pressure on theaters to only show these large-scale companies. Yes. And here's the thing. That is when theaters need to start taking stands. And they also need to start reading the room. What do our viewers want to see? Do freaking polls, folks. Yes, you're going to get the general audience. That, of course, it says Marvel on it. Of course, we're going to want to see the next big Marvel movie. They're all sucking. I wouldn't want to. I heard that they actually re-released The Grinch 2000, Christian. Good to see you, by the way. Thanks for coming in. I like that one. Jim Carrey was a good actor back then. And he still is now with the Sonic movies. I actually liked him in the Sonic movies. Thought he was very good. Can't wait for Sonic 3 to come out in 2025 with Shadow the Hedgehog. But yeah. This last story here. Let's see here. I do have one more story to cover. Share screen. This is from Game Radar or Games Radar. Fallout series recruits Captain Marvel and Tomb Raider writer as co-showrunner. Jonathan Nolan steps in to direct the pilot episode. So apparently Fallout is coming to Amazon. And, well, folks, given the track record of Amazon, Wheel of Time, and others, I'm not that hopeful. You see, look at all of these adaptations that have been done. Look at all these adaptations that have come out. Wheel of Time, I haven't read the books, but I do know from people who have that there is major differences and therefore the show suffers. And other adaptations are also not as good. Look at that Rings of Power. Tolkien fans the world over said that show sucked. Despite what Amazon reported, over 1 billion strong of fans said this show is not what Tolkien wrote. Then look at what Halo did. Halo sucked. Bleach sucked. All of these adaptations from video games or books are all sucking. And now they're trying out with Fallout. Now, I'm not a Fallout fan. I don't know shit about Fallout. But I would not want this stuff created. I sure as hell don't want a God of War creation by Amazon. I hear they are trying to do that. I don't want God of War. But let's see what this article has to say, please, or here. Variety reports that Fallout TV adaptation at Amazon has recruited Geneva Robertson Dworet and Graham Wagner as co-showrunners. Additionally, the outlet also confirms that the executive producer, Jonathan Nolan, will step in to direct the pilot episode of the adaptation on Amazon. The credits of the two new showrunners are pretty interesting to contrast. Robertson Dworet has writing credits of the likes of 2018's Tomb Raider, starring Alicia Vikander. Actually thought that movie wasn't too bad, but it also didn't perform well. And 2019's Captain Marvel. That movie sucked. While Wagner has a variety of writing credits on TV comedies, including The Office, Silicon Valley, and Baskets, among other projects, suggesting we could be getting a deliberately humorous twist on the apocalypse. That doesn't fill me with hope. It fills me with dread. All aforementioned crew members will also serve as producers for the Fallout TV series at large. Nolan, Robertson Dworet, and Wagner will all be executively producing the adaptation, while Westworld's Lisa Joy and Athena Wickham round out the crop of executive producers leading the new show. The Fallout series was first announced as being in the works at Amazon back in 2020, with Kilter Films announced to be producing the series. News has been scant about the adaptation ever since, with Fallout game series director Todd Howard last confirming November 2021 that the adaptation was still moving ahead. Howard is serving as one of the two executive producers on the series for Bethesda, in between developing Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. So this game adaptation called Fallout, apparently it's a post-apocalyptic thing, is essentially has two of the worst writers attached to it. I don't understand how that works. I don't understand what the people at Amazon are thinking. But whatever they're thinking, I would hope that they have a better business model and whatnot than what they currently have. Rings of Power is currently getting a second season, even though it had historically low views. They were championing low views as some great achievement. Which, when I was doing or covering the Rings of Power stuff, not the show, but the behind the scenes reports, there was a report that said they will be claiming it as a success, even if it is not. And that's exactly what they did. So when it comes to Fallout and them incurring the wrath of many fans if they go out of the way to change it, or from the lore that fans know and love, well, that's going to be up to the fans, and we're going to have to see what Amazon has to do about it. I would take the Hobbit trilogy over the Rings of Power. Or Rings of Girl Power, yeah. Thing is, I made a promise to Tolkien that I would never watch a full episode of the Rings of Power. Because, one, the Rings of Power is not Tolkien. I have seen clips. I can't avoid that because of social media and whatnot. However, I do recognize that fans were insulted when Amazon, who is doing the Fallout series, claimed that they could do a better job than the content creator himself on Lord of the Rings. They didn't create a Lord of the Rings thing. It has the name, but it isn't Lord of the Rings. And I gotta say, wasn't impressed by anything that I saw from Rings of Power. Look at work conditions for regular Amazon workers, and that gives the perfect idea of what they are thinking. Yeah, good point. Nowadays, video game movies are a hard sell, except for when it comes to movies like Sonic the Hedgehog. I like Sonic and Sonic 2. Can't wait to see Sonic 3. And it's not just because the director showed respect to the fans and listened to them. It's because the movie was competently made. The human element in the second movie was a bit much, but the movie itself still turned out to be very good. And name only is utilized for these posers. Yep. By the way, Godzilla X Kong. Yes, I did see that, and I'm confused, G-Fan. Why is Godzilla pink? Why is Godzilla pink? I don't know why Godzilla is pink. Where even was Godzilla in the movie or in this trailer? What is this Monster Titan or this new Monster Titan Scar? I'm trying to understand a lot of what they are doing. And why did it look like a transformer was coming out of the ground at the beginning of this movie? A yellow transformer. What, is Bumblebee in this movie? Boo was Godzilla, yeah. I mean, if somebody can explain to me why Godzilla is pink in this movie, please do. I think they are going for the late Showa era Godzilla movie. That doesn't make any sense. You have him already established as blue in the Monsterverse. Why are you changing that again? Why are they changing it to pink? Did Godzilla spontaneously get a sex change? Is he joining the SJW army? If that's the case, I don't want anything to do with it. They want to see more toys. Sex toys? I don't get it. I am so confused with that trailer. A transformer coming out of the ground, its arms smashing down. Okay, why are Transformers in this movie? A little tiny ape that had cast a very big shadow and then suddenly shrunk. What the hell is with the mini orangutan here with Kong? Godzilla apparently frozen in ice and waking up and is now pink. Why? I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding it. And as a Godzilla fan, that worries me. Godzilla 2000 had those colors. You are right, Geek Detective. While Godzilla 2000 did show this, it's awkward while they are trying to copycat something. I mean, why they gave Kong a metal gauntlet is odd. Is it a metal gauntlet? Because I don't know what that was. I mean, unless this movie is taking place further in the future, which apparently it's not because Gia is still in it and she's like a teenager now. So I'm kind of wondering what that's all about. So this movie is still in the 2020s, taking place in the 2020s because Gia's still alive. And I don't know if that was, what's her name? The same woman who speaks to Gia and whatnot, who signs with Gia. Rebecca, what's her name? Didn't look like her. So yeah, I'm seriously concerned with this movie. Why is Godzilla pink? Honestly, they need to go back and they need to change him back to blue. Because unless this movie explains why he is pink, they better have a good goddamn explanation for it. I'm not understanding anything further than that. Transformers, pink Godzillas, what the fuck is going on here? Monsterverse? Make sense of it, please. The way the show or the way they show the shadow of that little orangutan-like creature in the trailer, I think they have an odd way of doing shadows. It reminds me of what they were doing in 300, where they showed the shadow of the immortal and had the kid come in instead. Also, the test screens, it seems like Godzilla is only a cameo in this movie. Better not be the case. It says Godzilla or Godzilla X Kong. He's a titular character. What is going on? I guess I was right that this was going to make the rounds of bizarreness a few hours ago. Yeah, you probably were, man. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what I saw. Why is he pink? What is this shit? And somebody on Twitter is like, oh, you don't, or what, do you not know Godzilla? No, not personally, but I am a fan of Godzilla. Maybe not all the movies, but I know Godzilla well enough that I don't recognize the pink, probably because I haven't seen Godzilla 2000 in so long. But was he pink in 2000? Last time I saw Godzilla any other color than blue or gray was Burning Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Destroyer. That was it. Yeah, not too impressed, especially after that one. That's going to be a hard debate. Or especially after -1, yeah. Oy, I don't know, folks. I honestly don't know anymore. Monsterverse seems to have gone off the deep end. But anyway, I'm going to start wrapping this up. What time is it? 9:30? I honestly don't know what to make of it. I really don't. Because I saw a pink Godzilla with no explanation as to why he's pink. I'm like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. What the hell is this shit? It's pink! During the Trunks arc, where Trunks is coming from the future to kill Frieza. I mean, really, seriously though, why is he pink? Ugh, Rose Godzilla, right? Godzilla Rose, like Goku Rose or Super Saiyan Rose. What is this thing, man? I mean, I don't know. All I know is that I want to see Godzilla -1, and I'm not really that excited about Godzilla X Kong, the new empire. Anyway, folks, I am going to kick it over to Q&As. Ask me whatever you want about anything that's been going on this week or other stuff. Feel free to ask in the chat. What do you guys want to hear my thoughts on? So now we're in the I'll go about another half an hour and then I'll take off. So yeah, what do you guys want to hear about? Because honestly, what the hell is going on here, man? Let's check out what's going on Twitter here while I wait for comments to come in or questions to come in. Just dropped my thoughts on the trailer about 15 minutes ago. That was 2 hours ago. All right. Video incoming. Yep. Brennan Templeton. Holding those cards. Okay. How fucked up in the head does one have to be in order to defend? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of them right now, and they are all different. The only other time that I remember seeing anything that was weird about Godzilla was Space Godzilla. I mean, he had a little bit of a pink tinge to him, those crystals. But yeah, I'm just not getting it. I'm just not understanding it. Be worried if they have to, or if they decide to put matching lipstick on Godzilla as well, right? 9 Star Wars words they have even made their way into the dictionary. Really? Oh, okay. So it's Godzilla 2000. Apparently, not saying it's going to be free of agendas, but are people really upset Godzilla has a pink glow in the new Godzilla trailer? Would y'all be upset if there were any other color? Quick Google by this. Okay, so Godzilla 2000 had a pink Godzilla. Okay, that's all fine, but what's with the changed spines as well? I mean, when it comes to movies, folks, consistency matters. Godzilla 2014, he had those back spines. Then in Godzilla 2019, he had different back spines, but they actually explained why in the comic in between the two movies, which was because he lost those back spines in the fight with Muto Prime. And then they kept the same back spines in Godzilla versus Kong. Now, with this, I'm looking, thanks to Vex Electronica here, I'm seeing these spines, they don't look the same. So what is going on here, man? Grove. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, okay, that's something that I can't exactly talk about on YouTube. I'd get kicked off. Apparently, the jab has some very unwanted side effects that are quite deadly. When would you say that the quality of writing dropped on comics? I'm not a comic reader. Like what I mentioned about them pulling an Iceman, then they also ruined Jean Grey in the films too twice. I'm not a comic reader, Geek Detective Pierce. I wouldn't know. So I couldn't tell you. Scrap Powerpuff Girls reboot reflected on by live action Bubbles actor. Let's find out which new shows on films got added to Disney Plus this week. Thank you. And only the best Christmas presents for my friend. Yeah. Kong is officially Kratos now, and I'm here for it. I have no idea what that's all about. Remember when Zack Snyder? Oh, yeah. Zack Snyder defending Geek Detective when they let any person who can hold a pen. Yeah, essentially. That's a good answer. What he said, G-Fan. But to answer Vex Electronica, I didn't know he had a pink form. I honestly didn't even know he was pink in the Japanese movies. What bothers me is not so much the color, but the inconsistency between movies, period. I do hope they explain it in the movie. But yeah. I mean, I'd actually consider going over a fun animated film in the 90s. Ever heard of Balto? I've heard of it, haven't seen it. I never saw it. Heard of it, but never saw it. Uh, what's going on other social medias? Oh yeah, they Kevin Feige's like, yeah, we're not bringing back Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. He's not going to come back to life magically. Well, that would be the first good thing they actually decided on doing. Godzilla will be Queen of the Monsters, and she and Kong will raise a child together if Disney wrote the script. Pretty much. The cure for society's problem is a generation of great dads. Yep. Where are. Although, why upset Mothra? What about Mothra? Oh, yeah. That would upset Mothra. Yeah. Uh, oh, Orange. Are you excited for. No, GFan, I'm not excited for Christmas. Christmas lost its. Honestly, Christmas lost its shine to me when I had to listen to Christmas movies for a whole year due to the Hallmark Channel. So Christmas doesn't really matter to me anymore. If that makes me a Krampus, so be it. I'm not a big fan of it, GFan. Sorry. If this is a Walmart greeter, I'd like to be one. The new greeters at Walmart. I'd love to be one. Go ahead, try stealing stuff. I mean, it's the same plot over and over again, but still consistent. That's the pathetic thing about it. It's the same plot over and over again. Some chick comes out of the city, falls in love with a guy that she's supposed to be screwing over, and ends up having a crisis of conscience and then a happy ending. That's all Hallmark is. And when it's Christmas stuff, they put a Christmas twist to it. She's kind of a Scrooge, kind of a bitch, but then she finds the magical happiness of Christmas and happily ever after. That's essentially what it is, folks. And I'm not afraid to say that either. That's all Hallmark is. A bitch comes from the city, meets a guy, falls in love with a guy that she's supposed to be screwing over. Usually it has something to do with buying some sort of property or some shit. And she wants to be filthy rich. She learns her lesson. And instead, she decides to side with them, fuck capitalism, and instead be a nice, juicy lady for babies later on. Yeah, that's fine. My mom made me watch all of those ones. Still, Lacey Chabert is hot. I can't even recognize Lacey Chabert anymore. I don't even know who she is anymore. I mean, I saw her back in the days of Party of Five, was it? And it's like, fine, yeah, man, when she was a kid and she grew up and whatnot, but I couldn't point her out in a lineup if you asked me to. Okay, Detective Pierce, you're absolutely right. It's unrealistic expectations of real life. And if you ask me, I like the Billy Connolly route. Life is a waste of time. Time is a waste of life. Get wasted all the time and you'll have the time of your life. Even though I don't drink. But yeah, Lacey Chabert did a voice acting cartoon and video games. That I heard, and I couldn't tell you which one she did. But, oh wow. Seems my Marvel's video is actually doing pretty good in the first 6 hours. 50 views. Awesome. And I'm back up into 3,300. So if I can get 700 more hours, folks, I will have reached the 4,000 hour quota. Also, I'm still trying to get to 1,500 subscribers before the month is out. So if you guys could share my content with friends of yours that might be interested in it, that would be much appreciated. She was Mako. Yes, she was Mako in Star Wars The Old Republic. I do remember that. To be fair, I rarely drink OHR. Hey, same here, man. I don't. Once a year, if at all. Quite literally, once a year, if at all, when it comes to alcohol. I didn't even drink at my class reunion earlier this year, and believe me, I wanted to. I was surprised that my tribute poem to Jason David Frank has a lot of likes recently. Nice, congratulations, man. A lot of people love Jason David Frank. That's why. Once a Ranger, always a Ranger. Well, it seems the Jussie Smollett video started to take off. Now it's up to 396 likes or 396 views. I wish I had something that had 396 likes to it. Fun fact, I recently reached 4,000 views on a short. And hopefully we'll have 4,000 views on a video. The one from way back then about Disney covering up for pedo. But anyway, folks, I do realize that another channel that I respect and really don't want to be competing with is going live soon, or probably is already going live. So I am actually going to start calling it here. I do want to thank everybody in the chat: G-Fan, Christopher Freights, Geek Detective Pierce, Vanya, Darth Sathra, Sean Bird, Leslie Tarkin, Anime Night, and Eastland Burkholder. Thank you for coming in too. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Planning, having a script and planning off that script. Yep. Who else? Yep, Vanya. And that is everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to the first weekly recap. Next week next Sunday night, I will do another weekly recap. Stay tuned for Tuesday, where I will be discussing the first of the debatable Christmas movies, that one being Die Hard. The next one will be Lethal Weapon. And after that, it will be, I believe, let me check. These are all at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. I might be changing the time eventually or next year. But until then, it's still going to be 1:30 Eastern. There we go. Rocky IV Director's Cut, or the Stallone Cut, and First Blood. So, yes, all are debatable Christmas movies. I'm not really going to be going through them scene by scene like I usually do. I'm going to be discussing the merits, as well as the movie, but the merits of whether or not they are a Christmas movie. So I do want to thank everybody who joined in the chat. Thank you so much. You guys are freaking awesome. And thank you to the newest people who have subbed recently to my channel. You all are freaking amazing and awesome people yourselves. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how a $15 million movie from Japan can outdo all Disney movies in the category of quality and CGI quality. But yeah, folks, I'm gonna turn it off here. Thank you all for tuning in. Also, stay tuned for later in the 20s of December, where me and Mara are going to be discussing Gremlins and Gremlins 2. And then me and Mara are going to be discussing Krampus and Violent Night on Thursday nights for the singles. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat. Y'all have a wonderful night. Always remember, stay humble.